Back in 1952, Light of Life began, and from that time, we've been serving those who are homeless, who are hungry, and in all that time, we have not had the opportunity to actually have a building that was designed for the purposes of our services. And so this has been a dream for a long time, and I am so happy you're here with us to celebrate this moment, not only for the mission, but for the city of Pittsburgh, that there would be a beacon here, that there is always a place for someone. No matter what your background, there's a place where you can find hope, and you can find a meal, and you can find a family.
We all face different types of issues. We all face different types of challenges. Sometimes we get into that situation where we sort of say, not in my backyard. But the important thing is, this is all our backyard. This all is our city. And whether you have a home or don't, you're a part of that community as well. So to everyone involved in this amazing project, thank you.
I grew up in a house full of chaos, a stepfather, my mother, both alcoholics, drugs as well. And then when I was 7 years old, my mother got pregnant and had my little brother. And I pretty much raised the kid because my mother was never home and neither was my stepdad. He had an after-hours bar downtown and they were always partying, barely making it in the door for me to even get to school. He used to beat the crap out of my mother. There was a lot of domestic violence there. I was around 11 or 12 years old and he sexually abused me, started sexually abusing me, and it crushed me because he's supposed to protect me and I couldn't understand why he was doing it. It broke my heart and I was so scared. He threatened me and told me if I tell my mom, he would kill us all.
So I went to Mount Lebanon, graduated high school in '96. 3 months out of high school, I was pregnant with my first son. 6 weeks after he was born, his father and I were in a fatal car accident and his dad died. Definite crossroads in my life. I felt lost. I remember I could be in a room full of people and feel completely alone.
I was come out of a single parent home. You know, it was just my mother and my 3 sisters and my 2 younger brothers. One day my mom told me I was the man of the house, which scared me. I was in church a lot and I would do good in school. I played sports. You know, those were the, happy days of my life when I was on the basketball team. Freshman in high school. There was a lot of older guys in the neighborhood. And me and my best friend, he had a bunch of brothers that introduced us to smoking marijuana. We would see them hanging on the street corners. You know, back then they had some wine out. They was drinking a lot of wine. It tasted good. I tried some of it, it tasted good. I liked it. I liked it how the weed, how it made my body feel, the alcohol, the wine. And I liked how the weed made me feel too. You know, we would laugh and act silly and, numb me out. I wouldn't feel no pain no more and wasn't scared no more, didn't have that fear. Then after that, it just progressed.
I often like to describe Light of Life as a place of miracles. It's a place where we come together and we get to see transformation happen. A lot of times when people come to Light of Life, when they think about Light of Life, they think about our meals, and that's just one aspect of what we do. We're also here to walk alongside people as they're trying to transition from homelessness into a self-sustaining lifestyle. And so we have various programs depending on where they come from. Some of them, if they have a drug and alcohol background, they'll need a much longer time for recovery and for rebuilding their life. We have some that have more of a mental health background. Some people, just because of life conditions, they end up just finding themselves homeless, and they don't have a drug or alcohol background issue, but they just have a housing and employment issue. So they can stay with us, but those can turn around in a more quick way. So yeah, we're there for people no matter where they are. We are there to help them out. Almost a year ago right now, we were trying to figure out what life was going to be like with COVID. Prior to that, we were already dealing with two other urgent things happening. We had homelessness, which in general is an epidemic. We have women and children being the fastest growing homeless population. We were seeing that in Pittsburgh, a need for more beds. So that was going on. And then on top of that, you have the opioid crisis. It included all communities were suddenly impacted by ODs. And so you had suburban communities, affluent communities, as well as the urban communities, all dealing with the opioid crisis. And oftentimes, people who were involved in those situations would end up homeless. So they were coming in, kind of this new population of people who weren't the traditional homeless, were now coming into our services because they needed help. So we are already dealing with those two stressors, and then in the middle of that came the pandemic. And now we had to figure out how to serve the people who were, that population was already growing, but how to serve them with these new mandates that were coming down. We had to limit how many people we could reach, as well as increase our services. And when we first were figuring this thing out, one of the things that was so challenging was that we didn't know exactly what the impact was going to be from the pandemic. And so there was a lot of fear. And in our North Side community, a lot of businesses started to shut down and started to close. And we met with our staff and we said, what are we going to do? And it was unanimous, like, we have to keep our doors open. For the people that we serve, they don't have another option. And so if we weren't here, they didn't have another place to go. So the decision was made, we were going to stay open as long as the health department allowed us to stay open.
I think one of the things that has really touched me and moved me is our executive director, Jarrell. His ability to manage the staff in a very administratively organized way, but also bringing that pastoral spirit to who we are, how we care and love for each other, and how we take care of our clients.
What we learned very quickly was that not only were our services needed at the level it was before, but it actually increased. We learned that other shelter providers as well as food banks were closing. And so suddenly we were not only just serving the people on the North Side, but even as far as away as Mon Valley, they were coming to us for food services. We had people who were looking for us for mental health support. And so our demand doubled and in some categories tripled in just a month period of time. We did a lot of prayer because it's really beyond human capacity, right? Many of our volunteers, they are our lifeblood. They keep us going. They are so much involved. But suddenly, because of concerns that they had, we saw a tremendous drop in volunteers. And so that put an even more demand on our staff. And some of our staff, they were working extra hours just to keep things going. But again, the beautiful thing about our staff is that they love what they do, and they love helping people who are on the edge and who are marginalized. And for the first time, as we were looking at the pandemic coming into our area, we realized that it was actually better for homeless who were staying in camps to remain in camps as opposed to coming out, because at that time there was no COVID in the homeless population. So we and other service providers in our area came up with a plan to begin to bring services to them in the camps. So that required, okay, how do we get water? How do we get hand washing stations, food, medical supplies, PPE into the camps, under the bridges? So we had to change our whole mentality, but that's what this required. We had to learn that it wasn't about what happens in our four walls, but it was about serving those who were most in need. And so our outreach team began to go out and go under the bridges, and we worked with the county and Alcosan and other places to say, how can we make the camps the best that they can be, bring medical services to them, sanitation to them. Some of the people that were in the camps that would not come to us, now they began to get to know our staff and trust us. We knew that the winter was going to be coming and what was going to happen if we didn't have this facility. And one of the things that you learn when you're trying to deal with people who have trauma is that you want to create a safe space for them. And part of creating that safe space is having physical distance in space. Our building before was not set up in that way. You had to sleep in bunks, and the person in the top bunk, they couldn't even sit up because of the ceiling.
Well, at Light of Life, obviously the big change is the new building that we're in, Vetley. We're very proud of this building and the services we perform here. Craig Wolfley talks all the time about looking for a new building for 25 years. And when I was first introduced to Light of Life 12 years ago, the then board chair, Don Foster, said, we're just starting a fundraising campaign for a new building. And here we are 12 years later, and this building is now totally built.
We needed more space to be able to serve people with dignity and with honor and with respect. And so part of moving here and moving into a new building was to be able to increase our ability to honor those that we serve. And they walk in and they realize that this place is for them, that this place is to serve them and to serve their needs. And that's what we want them to realize, is that they are honored, they are valued, and when they come here, they're coming in as part of a family, and we want them to feel that love and acceptance.
Welcome to our Vetley Street shelter. This has been 25 years in the making, and we couldn't be more excited about opening this brand new shelter for those in need in Pittsburgh. This is part of our day room. In our old facility, our shelter guests would come stay with us, but then throughout the day, they'd have to go out on their own to the streets, and they'd go all various different places. Here, they'll have access to shelter 24 hours a day. They'll also have access to office space where they can get case management and access to services from other providers that we partner with. Now I'm standing in our Women's Outreach Center, and this is one of the most exciting features of our new shelter. Historically, we've never had a place for women to stay overnight. We get plenty of calls every day of women and children saying, I need somewhere to sleep. But now, every day of the year, we'll be able to house 18 women and children in our brand new shelter. And right here in our Women's Outreach Center is a place where the women can come and eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day of the year. We also have a bathroom and a shower available. If anyone needs a shower coming off the street, they can come here. And more importantly, this is just a safe place where women can meet with our staff, get loved on, and we can help them take a next step in their journey. Women and children are the fastest growing homeless population, both nationally and in Allegheny County. And so for us to have a shelter for women and children in need is absolutely huge.
You know, the streams that lead to that are varied, and there are, there's some things that we have to increase our consciousness of in our country. Domestic violence and abuse is one of those things that has been under the radar, and that's been happening more and more, and some people are realizing that they are in unsafe and unhealthy situations, and they have to get out of those situations. Oftentimes in our country, when women find themselves with a child, when they are looking to move or to find a different situations, there's not a lot of options for them. If they're living somewhere and then trying to find this kind of entry-level housing that they can afford with their child, there's not like that step to ease them from where they are to being able to be self-sufficient. In our city, and this is the way it is across the country, there are some beds for domestic violence. And so if you need a shelter for that, there's some places for that. But if that is not the immediate need, If a person just is moving out because they lost their lease, or if some other traumatic thing happened in their family, there was a fire, there was something else that happened, they lost their job, there's not a place for them to go. And we would get calls on a daily basis of women with children needing a place to stay, sometimes staying in cars, sometimes staying in a hotel that's being paid for by a church, but that's not sustainable. It's like they would call us and they'll say, it's a wonderful family, we've been putting them up in this hotel for a month, but we can't continue to do that. Do you have a place for them? And we just never had a place for that. And so now there's a place. Now we have made room for them, and they know that there is a place for them where they can get their bearings, where their children are taken care of, and then where they can now make a plan for the future.
My mother tried to get me help. I didn't do it. I left. Then I get involved at the age of 16 years old with an abusive relationship. I got pregnant at 17, had my first child at 18. 3 years later, purposely I get pregnant with my daughter because I think that, he'll never leave me, give him another child. I wanted, the way I grew up, I wanted my kids to have both their parents. And it was like somewhere along the line, I took a wrong turn in life and started in the drugs. When I was in my 30s, I started with being an IV drug user. The sex abuse with my stepfather, I was so embarrassed and ashamed because I carried so much guilt because I blamed myself for so long. I thought it was my fault. Like, what did I do for him to do this to me? I thought my mother hated me because he was like the love of her life. And I felt like she resented me. But at the same time, then I thought, well, I wonder if she really knew and let it go and all the time. The disease of addiction plays tricks with your mind. And it'll tell you you're not worth nothing. I carried it for so long that I didn't realize that that was a lot of my issues. I never knew that until going to treatment almost 4 years ago is when it all hit me dead in my face that there was something wrong. Before I thought I could get clean, I didn't need the meetings. I didn't need help. I could do it myself. I used to think it was a joke. Like, these people go to these meetings and they think that they all need each other. I could do it by myself. I don't need them. So I just kept torturing myself. One thing I always say is I love them drugs so much, and it was one of the hardest things I've done in my life. I broke up with the love of my life. But I also know where it'll take me to, and it's just not a place I'm willing to go to today. I refuse to use over anything. I don't want to go back there. I've worked too hard to get where I'm at, and it's not worth it. It's just not. For me, having the support at Light of Life that I do, it's huge, and it is so very important to me because I know at any given moment, at any time, that one of my sisters is going to be there for me, no matter what. I'm not embarrassed to tell them what's going on with me, just they're alongside walking this journey with me, and it's amazing. I have so much gratitude in my heart because I believe, like I said, Light of Life saved my life. For that, I will always be grateful, always, because I believe, like I said, if I didn't, I would have been dead a long time ago. But coming to Light of Life, people made fun of me and said, oh, you're in a shelter, you're in a shelter. I don't care what you say. This program is helping me, and Light of Life has helped me become who I am today.
My dad was an alcoholic my whole childhood. As I got older, his alcoholism got worse. It was the trauma of losing my son's father, the pain and trauma of losing him, of having a newborn baby by myself at 19 years old. When I think about it now, it's wow, that's a lot. My mom helped me tremendously, especially with the baby. Yeah, I just didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to grieve that loss. I didn't want to feel that loss. The emotional pain and psychological pain far outweighed the physical pain. And then I had this little baby that was a constant reminder, right? So like I couldn't forget it ever. So did cocaine, and it was almost instantly off to the races. I think for about 2 years straight, I started dabbling into Vicodin and Percocet and pain pills to come down from the coke. It's just how addiction goes. Like it manifests and morphs into bigger and better and more. I want to say I snorted heroin for probably 2 years. And then when I turned 24, and that's not that long, from 19 to 24, I was using a needle for everything and anything. Cocaine, crack, it didn't matter. I got caught a whole lot of times. I went to jail a whole lot of times. At one point I was arrested 5 times in 1 month for retail theft. I got out of jail that summer and I ended up pregnant again with my oldest daughter, Jazz. So when I was pregnant with her, I didn't stop using. And I kept running. So I had a PO. And somehow I managed to go see this PO. And what she said to me was, you can either get on methadone or you can go to jail until you have this child, because I refuse to let you to continue to use with this child inside of you. So, I don't know, at the time that was a no-brainer. Like, okay, I'm gonna go get on methadone because I'm not going to jail. Shortly after I had her, I went back to using. So, she was a year old when I went to rehab because I had enough. I was sick of myself. Went to rehab, and I was like 9 months clean. She was 2, and I came to Light of Life. And I couldn't believe everything that this program did for people. Like, it was just amazing to me. I would bring both of my girls with me every day. Even when I had the third one, and they help so much. I mean, things you wouldn't even think of, they help you with. Of course, Christmas and Easter is amazing. How many strangers care if your kids have a good Christmas or not? It's just amazing. It's amazing. Like, you have no choice but to be blown away with gratitude. So like, even when I found my place, basket of essentials, towels, toiletries, shampoo, anything you can think of, they help you with. When I first came into the program, I didn't work. I didn't have a job. I had my kids. I was reliant on welfare and the program to pay my rent. And then I had a third baby. Somehow I developed this relationship with the Light of Life that felt like home. I started to develop a relationship with God and with Christ. Bible studies. Even in recovery, we do 12 steps. There's also like an Overcomer 12 steps that incorporates Jesus through the entire 12 steps, and scriptures incorporated. So through just showing up every day, I started to get a faith like I've never known. I just got my bachelor's degree in December. Yeah, it's awesome. Information science and technology. So I have my bachelor's degree. I am working on a master's. I started my master's program in January. Without God, none of it's possible. I'm a mother to my kids today. That's the most important. They didn't have that mother not that long ago. All Light of Life. All Light of Life. My kids know God because of Light of Life. I know God because of Light of Life. My gratitude. I come back and volunteer. I get alumni to speak to the women. I'm on the alumni committee. Light of Life is like in every part of my life. Legit, every part of my life. And I love it. I told you, it's like my family. I'm eternally grateful for everybody. God is good. Light of Life is awesome. But if I can help another person, you know what I mean? That's at least the least that I can do.
So one of the things we always say here at the Mission is we believe hope begins with a meal. And behind me is our brand new dining facility, and we have seating capacity for 88 here, which is quadruple the capacity of our old facility. Our executive director, Jarrell, always tells our staff is the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's community. And we absolutely believe that as an organization. And in fact, you'll notice behind me, we have round tables for our dining area, and that's very intentional. We wanted to create a safe place where the men, women, and children who are coming to eat with us every day have a place where they can sit down and share a meal, not only with friends and peers, but also with our staff and the volunteers that come to serve here every day, in hopes that we'll build relationship and build community with them and help them take a next step in their journey. We are in our chapel right now, and we offer 3 chapel services every single day, and we want to present the gospel to anyone who walks through our doors to give them an opportunity to meet Christ. And one of my favorite stories of the mission is about 4 years ago, a man came into our shelter and he dropped off a letter, and the letter said that 4 years ago, he had come to our mission in need. He was at the lowest point in his life and just needed a shelter for the night. He needed a meal, but he went to a chapel service and he ended up giving his life to Christ. And he only stayed there for a few days, but as a result of that decision he made here in this chapel, he turned his entire life around, met his future wife, led her to Christ, and now they have children, and their entire family tree is going to be changed as a result of us offering chapel services.
You know, the funny thing about it was he started back in the 80s when he started hanging out there, and he would start going to me, you got to come down to Light of Life, because you're going to see a change in yourself when you see your worldview change. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
He goes, you walk through those doors and you come out and it's different, is it not?
I don't walk out the doors the same person.
I go down, we go down on he got me on a Thanksgiving Day. So we go down there and it's a gray, cold, snowy, sleet type rain combination going on. So I'm down there and you got the homeless guys come in and you see some homeless women, and then we saw, for me, my first time, a homeless family. A man, a woman, and 2 kids. Neither were, over 8 years old, Chaluch? No. So they kind of sat around, and I remember I'm sitting there going, this doesn't look right. What'd you do?
Yeah, and when they were at 2 tables, and so I got the homeless people to stand up, and
He's shifting them around.
Yeah, I shifted.
He's got them all kind of honked off on Thanksgiving Day, right?
And they were mad at me.
But we got this family together, and how precious it was to watch this family come in off the cold street, a wet street, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner together.
Yeah.
And he was right. I walked out of there and went, okay, that does change your worldview. There's something I got to do here. The beautiful thing about it is there's people in this city that you never realize have been impacted by Light of Life. I mean, you can walk the streets and you never know, and then somebody comes up and shares a story, which I was at a restaurant one time, and a lady came up and she was our server, and she told us that she had been at Light of Life and helped to restructure her life and be able to get it back on track. And just to experience that, you go, wow, the transformational life of Jesus Christ is unfolding right in front of us, and you just never know when you're going to run into that. It's changed me in ways that it's difficult to put into words, because you see heartache, you see brokenness, you see pain. In some cases, you see despair. You see people who are truly trying to change, but it's a difficult process, and it needs people to surround them with love and a protective barrier, and to do more than just say, God be with you, and pat you on the back and good luck. It's a warm meal, it's a hug, it's a new coat, and you see that transformation come. It's huge, just huge.
Well, when we were at the groundbreaking, it was such a blessing. And then the ribbon cutting ceremony, when we toured the facility, it's great.
He's been talking about this for so long, and all the walks that we had, and talking about, the new facility coming. And he just wondered, am I going to be able to see it someday? And that was a manifestation of all those years. And I'm just so thrilled for the staff, for the clientele here at Light of Life, for the people who this really makes all the difference in the world. And the best part is that I think that the women's ministry has grown, and being able to pool the resources together is going to be much more efficient. God bless all the people that have put their time, effort, money into this. It's such a blessing because you really can become the hands and feet of Jesus right here by giving or by donating your time.
Every day at Light of Life is a different day. It's amazing because we have the opportunity to help women and men that come through our doors to transform. A lot of our clients that we encounter are used to just surviving, but we don't want them to survive here. We want them to thrive. And so our process that we go through, of course, with Christ being the center, is to help clients get access to services, to help clients find housing, to help clients with any mental health, medical, physical issues that they may be having. And we do that through a myriad of things, of networking with outside agencies. Community is the center of everything that we do here. Without community, our clients wouldn't thrive. We need each other. We need partners. Community is family. When that happens, we have to reach out. We have to collaborate. And so that's one thing that I'm intentional about, is building these partnerships with other outside agencies such as Mercy Behavioral Health, Allegheny Health Network, East End Cooperative Ministries, just going over and just having conversations, sharing what we do and how can we work together? How can we partner together? Because it's bigger than us. It's about those that's still out there who haven't walked through our doors yet, that's going to come through our doors. And when they come, I want to reach out to you. I want you to reach out to me. We want to be team. A lot of our clients deal with high levels of mental health and anxiety and stress levels that we couldn't even imagine. The trauma, the abuse, some of our women, the sexual abuse they encounter, you know, with the drug addiction, just like I said, just trying to survive. But when they walk through the door, we want them to feel like an aha moment, a release moment, where they feel safety here, where they feel love here, where they can sit down and not have to look over their shoulder, where children can come in and feel safety. Some of our women and our children come in, they're very smart, they're very bright, in spite of the labels, in spite of the stigma that thinks, you know, that all homeless mothers and homeless children, they're ignorant, they're dumb. You know, we don't want them to feel that their situation or their circumstances is defining them. We want to help the scales to fall off so we can see who's behind there. A lot of these kids don't know what it's like to be a child. They don't know what it's like to play. A lot of them don't know what it feels like to have a room of their own. Glory to God. But we want them to experience that. We want children to be children. We want them to be able to lay down at night and know that when I lay down tonight, I don't have to wake up in the morning wondering what's my day gonna be like. And that's important to us. That's safety. And that's what we strive to do, is provide that safety in community.
At an early age, 15, 16 years old, now I got the title of a, drug addict, alcoholic, and thief, all to support my habit. And that just progressed until I ended up in jail. I was disappointed I got kicked out of high school, disappointed that I got kicked off the basketball team. I was disappointing my mother, everybody who cared about me. Next thing you know, I'm caught up in this vicious cycle at a young age, hanging around the wrong people. And then on top of all that, I kept getting these cravings. I got this tolerance level. I need more alcohol, need more weed to, I guess feel normal or get to a point where I could accept myself. And then, I moved to Pittsburgh. I was okay for a while because I was, I hear all the stories about the big city. I was scared to come out the house, you know what I mean? And Then I met some girl, and she smoked crack. That's how I got introduced to crack cocaine. And after that night, you know, my life went like downhill. Thinking I can do that one hit, and that one hit would turn into all-nighter, and then I end up broke. You know, the next day I'll be totally broke. I got paid on Friday, Saturday. By Saturday morning, I'm totally broke. That went on for like 20, 25 years. I couldn't sit still. You know, I couldn't get enough alcohol. I couldn't get enough crack. It was just on me, man. It was on me. And I got scared. So I saw the opportunity. I didn't run up out of there. I didn't run. I walked. Scared as I was, I wanted to run, but something inside me said, just walk out of here. Don't you turn around, don't you turn your back. Just calmly get yourself out of here. And that's when I walked out, walked down the hill. It was a long walk too, man. It was a long walk. And then there was that library down on Federal Street. I went in there. And that's when I was like, you know, something spoke to me, said, go to the Light of Life. Go right into the Light of Life. See your buddy Rob Pettit. I went to the Light of Life and I talked to Rob. And Rob seen the look on my face. You know, I started crying in his office. And he seen the look on my face and he just said, yeah. He says, yeah, man, you're ready. And he got me in the program. But he prayed for me first, you know. He said a prayer for me. He could tell I was scared. I was scared out of my mind, man. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel comfortable laying my head down that night. I was scared out of my mind. So Rob ended up getting me into the program, and I've been at the Light of Life ever since. That was back in 2016. Look at me now. I got my driver's license. I got my driver's license through the program. Light of Life helped me get my driver's license. And they helped me, you know, make resumes. And they helped me with, you know, with my attitude and my confidence. And, you know, they got conflict resolution classes, Bible classes, you know, all that stuff. And then, you know, the pillars of the program, accountability, Christ-likeness. And the Light of Life provided those tools for me. They've provided support, you know, grace, mercy, you know, they helped me get a job. I'm learning how to be a leader. You know, I'm in that process where I'm taking on a leadership role, and I go to men's groups, and I'm just trying to, you know, try to better myself. And I'm working breakfasts. And one of my favorite things to do is make pancakes. I just enjoy being around my coworkers and being a help, being a reliable source, you know, at the Light of Life. And my calling is cooking food, prepping food, and connecting with the volunteers, letting them hear my story.
The shelter we built at Vetley Street was just phase one of a two-phase relocation effort. And right now I'm standing in our Ridge Place building, which will be the home of our future long-term residential programming. Now, you've heard over and over again tonight that no matter where someone is in their journey of homelessness, we want to have a next step for them. Our long-term residential programs provide recovery, education, and employment. And so in this facility, we're going to have a brand new dining area for our long-term residential program, a brand new chapel that the men and women will be able to go to on a daily basis. We'll have some of our administrative and development offices. But some of the most important work is we'll have a 12-bed emergency shelter for men. The entire second floor will be our long-term men's residential program. We'll have 28 beds here for men who are in our long-term program. And again, those men and women will live with us anywhere from 9 months to 2 years. And then we're going to be adding a third additional floor on this facility that'll be the brand new home of our women and children's programming. They need a space. We serve over 40 women and their children in our long-term residential program, and our building that we currently use them in is just out of space. And again, it was never designed to do what we need to do to serve the women that we have. And so this new facility is going to ensure that the men, women, and children in our long-term residential programs can make it to graduation and ultimately be out on their own, living independently once they graduate from our programs. And we couldn't be more excited. Tonight you've been able to see the stories of lives that have been transformed at the Mission. You've gotten a sneak peek at our brand new shelter that just opened, and you've seen the need for phase 2 of our relocation effort at Ridge Place that'll be the home to our long-term residential programs. To date, through the generosity of donors and foundations, we've already raised over $16 million toward our $22 million campaign goal. That's over 75% of the way towards that goal. These 2 projects are going to enable us to serve the homeless men, women, and children of Pittsburgh with dignity and worth for decades to come. We have $6 million left, and we are coming to you, our Pittsburgh community, and asking you, help us cross the finish line. Will you partner with us to ensure that that's the future of the men and women that we serve? $6 million. Some of you have the ability to do a lot, some have a little opportunity to do a little. The amount doesn't matter. There are 2 ways to give. The first way is you can give a gift right now towards the campaign. Every dollar raised through this show is going to go to our capital campaign. And you can give online at lightoflife.org/open doors. For some of you, the second way is some of you may want to make a pledge over multiple years. You can make a 3 or 5 year pledge and pay that pledge down over the course of 5 years. If you'd like to talk to a staff member, you can contact our capital campaign manager, Philip Spina, at the contact information listed on the screen. I want to let you know that your contributions matter. Every single dollar matters and transforms life. I've seen lives transformed. I've had family members who have had their lives impacted by the Mission. What we do here matters. And my prayer is that when you partner with us, whether you volunteer here or come by or just drive past one of our buildings in the months, the years, and the decades to come, that you'll know that every life that gets transformed here, from this day till then, you had a part to play in because you partner with us financially. Thank you for making what we do possible. Thank you for being a part of this time in our history, which is absolutely historic. It's changing our trajectory for decades to come.
Our goal is for everyone to feel value and worth. We believe that part of our dignity was given to us by God. So each person that was created, they're created with special dignity and worth. And so we want to value that, and we want people to feel that. Oftentimes as they have gone through life, they have not experienced that, and they've been treated as less than that. And so first, we want people to feel that and to recognize that. Once they feel that, we want them to realize that now there is hope, that their history is not their destiny. What their past has been does not dictate what their future can be. It's so good to know that no matter what your previous chapters have been, you can write a new chapter in your life. So we want to provide that place that a person can come into a family, and in that context of being in community and in family, they can imagine a new future, a future with people around them that love them, but also a future that connects them to God.